62% of Americans say they have political views they're afraid to share. Afraid to share. Let's take a look at this. A new Cato national survey finds that self-censorship is on the rise in the U.S. Remember, this is in July of 2020. Nearly 2/3, 62% of Americans say the political climate these days prevents them from saying things they believe because others might find them offensive. How sad. If you scroll down a little more, something interesting. Strong liberals stand out, however, as the only political group, shocking, Tyler, who feel they can express themselves. Now, we laugh, but why is that? There's a reason for that. The reason is that strong liberals, and by the way, it's not the same. The article points out centrist liberals do not fall into that category. Centrist liberals are more afraid to speak their mind. The reason strong liberals feel comfortable is because when liberals come out, strong liberals, reliable liberals, they're usually backed in their opinions by big establishment organizations, Nike, Hollywood, an award show, Disney, so they feel supported. They feel like they're not coming out like one person out there. Hey, by the way, it's not like that. Social media influencers, you know how this works. It's like almost like, Silicon Valley, all of these bigs come out and usually endorse those talking points. So that's why strong liberals typically feel comfortable, because they don't feel alone. They don't feel alone. They feel very much supported by very powerful groups when they speak their minds. But everyone else, do you want to live in a world where people are afraid to say how they feel? I don't. I want to hear if Tyler feels differently from me and jumps in and says, hey, you know what? I don't think he knows that. He's welcome to do that in this space. Jorge, we'll mic you. Anyone, really, I welcome that. That shows me you're you're listening to what I'm saying, so thank you. You've got at least open ears. And secondly, you're thinking for yourself. Amazing. I wouldn't, if you agreed with me every step of the way, that's called a robot. I don't need a robot. That does me no good. I hate AI. And there's more. There's more on this that I'm scared of. I kept looking. Once I started and I found that from the Cato Institute, I went to YouGov. This is also from 2020. This has also gotten worse. Look at this. Americans are less likely to have friends of very different political opinions compared to 2016. They went back to 2016. Nearly a quarter of Democrats, 24%, say they're not friends with anyone who holds very different political views from them. A 14-point rise from when YouGov asked the same question in September 2016. Independents show an 8-point increase, while Republicans have not changed significantly in the last 4 years. Do you see this stuff is moving in a bad direction? It's not getting better. It's getting worse. Now, why is it getting worse? Well, I think one of the reasons is social media, because social media kind of keeps people in these little bubbles. I think cable news is part of the problem. Everyone says, oh, well, there's diversity of thought on cable. No, there's not. Come on, man. There's not. There's not. There's an agenda. We all know every cable news network has one. And then there's, you're 4 conservatives or you're 1 liberal or you're 4 liberals. You know how this works, right? You know how it works. It's not a real conversation. There's no time. Even if they wanted to have it, there's no time with the restrictions there. So this stuff is moving in a direction that we don't want it to move in. People are getting more afraid to speak their minds. People are less inclined to become friends with or to converse with or to reach out to someone of a different political opinion. That's all bad. One of the reasons that I'm here doing this is because when I went on PBD, and Patrick knows this, we had a conversation. We had a real conversation. We didn't agree on everything. Adam and I don't agree on a lot. We know that. But it felt like a real moment and a real exchange. I walked away from that experience and I said, we need to do this more. Meaning, yes, us as a team, but in the country. I need to do it more at home. I need to do it more with friends. And my hope is that people will receive it well, although based on my Instagram experience this past weekend, I don't know. And I'm curious, before we, shift a little bit, Tyler, because you're in a younger bracket than I am, do you see this among people your age? Is it bad? Is there a resistance to having conversations with people who see the world differently? Or is this something that's manifested in an older generation more, in your opinion?
No, I think it's certainly both. I have family members who I'm terrified to have conversations with because they they can't have their opinions changed. They're very set in their ways. It's like, yeah, I'll have the conversation, but I know that ultimately it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to be a fight as opposed to a discussion. I'm all for having discussion, have an open mind, have your opinions changed. I'm not going to sit there and fight with you. But like you say on Instagram, all the times I see people saying, if you voted for Trump, if you're a conservative, if you're this, that, and the other, just unfriend me, don't follow me, don't talk to me, don't nothing. And it really goes to show how, I mean, maybe this is obvious, but it goes to show just how pervasive human nature is. Like, we thought we could get past this tribalism.
Right.
We thought we could all come together, be a community, work together, talk with each other, and you can. It just ultimately reverts back to tribalism, and it's going to be interesting to see how we move past it, if we can.
And it also showcases, you're right, like our weaknesses as human beings, right? We all have this chip sometimes where it's a little bit of an internal fight. You're like, oh, I can't believe they're saying that. Believe me, I struggled a lot after that incident on The View. I struggled a lot because I felt like I was now in a position where I had always been that person of like, let's sit at the table, let's talk it out. But I felt like if the other side had a chance to bury me, forget it, they would. I actually felt like when it came to a matter, I mean, something so simple as me just saying, hey, my doctor says this isn't for me, end of story. Simple fact that I repeated from the CDC, the vax can get and spread COVID, so the mandates are unjustified. That should have just been a simple debate. But I felt at that moment like, wow, they'll bury me without blinking. Mm-hmm. So I need to come out and be like them. There was a moment I had where I was like, I need to be like that. And then I caught myself and I said, oh no, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do that. And the reason was I was really lucky because sitting in front of me on every one of those appearances that I did, including that one, and I'll never forget that day, is that little picture of my cover of my book with me and my little boy. And I looked at that kid's smile and I said, I have some bigger job to do than that moment on The View. I need to teach my kid that you walk away from that and you're still somebody who wants to sit and have a conversation. But it took a lot. So I don't know what that moment's going to be, Tyler, but for the next generation, I have to hope that the people listening in their 20s, in their, if you're in high school, you're in college, whatever you are, that you say to yourself, I will miss out on a wealth of wonderful people and wonderful opportunities if I create a bubble for myself, and I will also miss out on becoming a whole person. Because you're going to be a quarter of a person in there, getting pat on the back for every opinion. Oh yeah, I'm right all the time. No, you need someone to say, have you thought about the fact that you might be wrong? That's what builds a human being. That's what turns a little person, a toddler, an infant into an adult one day. If you like the short clip, you can catch another one here, or you can catch the full episode right here.